Hi everyone, and here is episode 2 of our question Q&A videos. I'm MJ,
I'm Rose.
and let's start with the first question. Is Maxwell a ginger that dyes his hair black?
This is the kind of question I really appreciate getting.
For sure.
You know,
Um,
focusing on a character's hair color is and I'm not being sarcastic here. I think it's the truest sign of really appreciating a character when you start obsessing about their hair color.
I agree. Yeah, you get like a good old Kelligorm Silmarillion debate going,
My favorite,
and it just
all-time
never
favorite,
ends.
the best discourse.
Yeah. Actually, what's funny is when I read this question, all I could think of is there is a part in Train Spotting where one of the characters is a ginger and he dyes his hair black because he thinks he's gonna get more ladies that way. And
Sure.
then he goes home with a girl, and then at the moment when they're undressing, he realizes that he should have dyed his pubes black as well. And I feel like that's something that would happen to Maxwell. So
If Maxwell ever took anybody home,
yeah,
which despite his best efforts, he never does.
it hasn't happened yet.
But yeah, I think we've been envisioning him, and MJ, you can speak to this as his, character designer. Um, I'm pretty sure he's a natural brunette. Um, we've I think I've seen some of your designs for his family. His family are all dark haired. Um,
Yeah. I mean, maybe there was like a ginger on his dad's side somewhere, but
mhm.
it's mostly brunettes. Um, he definitely gets his hair from his mom's side of the family. So
Yeah, there's always a chance that, if he got out in the sun, he might get some like deep auburn highlights in there, but that we'll never know because he doesn't go out in the sun.
yeah, no,
That won't
no.
happen.
The other option would be like if he thought he was gonna get some ladies by like becoming a ginger, he might try to like bleach his hair, but
I could see him
it'll,
with some frosted tips, to be totally honest.
yeah.
Just as a real demonstration of how little he understands both women and fashion,
Agreed.
he would get frosted tips. He'd probably
Yes.
think it made him look sort of, bad boy, exciting.
Yeah, well, it's the whole villain angle.
Ironically, I bet there are those in the hyperbolic consortium of wizards who could pull off frosted tips and actually look villainous and sexy. Um,
Yes.
but Maxwell is not one of them.
No. All right. So next question. We've actually got a bunch of sort of orc related questions. So what is the origin of the orc elf war?
Whew.
That's a good question because they've had so many wars.
I
That's which
think
one do you choose?
it's a pretty much an eternal.
Yeah.
It's a constant. The elves and the orcs have always hated each other.
Yes.
Um,
I feel like it's a combination of racism and territoriality.
yeah, I would agree. It's political and geographic, and but after a certain point, it's just habit.
Oh
There's
yeah, for sure. At a certain point, it's like, okay, I have like X number of family members that have like died in this war, so and we were supposed to like live forever, and those people are dead now. So
right, because that's the other thing. Both orcs and elves are immortal, and so really their only form of population control is to slaughter one another.
yeah,
So in some ways, it's keeping the balance. They don't view it that way, but
uh,
it's more we would like to completely depopulate our enemies because that
yes,
would be better for us.
yes,
Um, but yeah, actually, at the time Juno and Flankshaft met, they were. It was during their one of their more or less successful peace negotiations, because the orcs and the elves are currently in a state of uneasy peace. There is no active war going on. They are sort of passive aggressively ignoring each other and pretending they have better things to do, which is why the human population of Inkador has been able to thrive, because previously
Yes.
they just sort of got ground into the mud in between um, the colliding armies of the elves and the orcs.
Right. All right. And our next question is, do orcs lift weights? Which I feel like they are very physically active to the point where they don't really need to hit the gym. They probably,
Right.
I think they have like sort of sports competitions things where they throw cows
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Instead of tossing the caber, they're tossing the cattle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like, orcs put on muscle very naturally. So it's sort of you don't need to lift weights, you just need to help your friend move, and you'll be as jacked as you need to be.
Yeah. And just, like learning how to fight when they're young and then going to war all the time. There's a lot of like carrying things and lifting things and swinging axes and things. So
Right.
they're
Currently, Flankshaft mostly lifts kegs.
yes, and Juno.
And Juno, who
All
is
right.
surprisingly dense.
The what?
She's probably surprisingly dense. I bet she's really heavy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, she's almost as tall as he is, and she's fairly strong. So I can imagine she's got some weight to her.
Yeah.
All right. So, is Flankshaft's love of poetry a generally encouraged thing with orcs, considering the tome he was reading?
I would say yes. I would say that orc poetry is a much appreciated thing amongst the orc population. Reading it, composing it, performing it for your comrades. I would say it's generally historic and therefore battle related. Though probably also sometimes moralizing about, how to work together well within the community so as best to slaughter the hated enemy.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Also, they probably just they have that mentality of like anyone can be a poet, so it's not like sometimes people have this idea of like there's artists and then there's everyone else, and it's sort of you're either born with the inspiration or you're not. I feel like with orcs it's like, well, they've all got like a pen and little notebook on them at all times.
Right, and
To
they're probably really encouraged to um, deal with their emotions and their feelings and so on creatively.
Yes.
Because you've got these whole populations that for a long time were entirely taken up with waging war, and they recognize that that takes its toll, and so they encourage their warriors to write a sonnet or two about how you feel about your comrade losing both his legs at the knees, and then you having to eat them.
Yes.
So, have we got any questions left?
No, it looks like that's about it. That's all we've got for now.
Well, people should feel free to send more in because, as we've mentioned, we do spend quite a bit of time world building and character building. And while a lot of that will get revealed organically within the comic, some of it won't be. So it's a lot of fun to talk about it and share it with you guys. So feel free to send in other questions you might have.
Yep. Yeah, so I guess that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye now.
Bye.